This is KCAL News, Los Angeles.
Now at 4, more rain and more snow today as the cleanup continues from the historic weekend storm.
And no matter where you are, it continues to be all about the weather, from the mountains to the valleys to the coast. We are tracking new rain showers and new snow and very low temperatures. Hi, everyone. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm Susie Sa.
And I'm Juan Fernandez. This latest round of storms won't be like the soaker that flooded our region and brought tons of snow to the Southland over the weekend.
Yeah, but showers will continue to linger over Southern California for a few days. We are once again on storm watch with live team coverage. SoCal still cleaning up from the last round of storms.
And some local communities are still without power. But first, let's get to Olga Ospina with the timetable on when we could see more rain in your next weather forecast. Olga.
Hi, Juan and Susie. Yes, here we go again. Once again, more rain and snow. We had a bit of a break yesterday, but once again, if you've been outside, you know we have some wet weather. And there is a look, rain impacting really most of the state. As we take a closer look at Southern California, we are seeing plenty of rain moving across our region. However, mostly for the eastern portion of our area. So parts of LA and Ventura right now looking at some drier conditions. All of that a little bit further east for the San Gabriels into the Inland Empire and into Orange County. As we take a little bit of a closer look, you can see that we have some heavy rain for parts of the Inland Empire, for places like Rancho Cucamonga, where you see those yellows and those dark greens. That indicates more of that moderate to heavy rain, and that is what we are getting once again to start the work week. Look at that. We have some snow as well for those higher elevations up in the mountains, and that's going to continue to impact us. In fact, as we head into tomorrow, Wednesday, levels start to lower a little bit further, and once again, those mountain passes will be impacted. So places like the Grapevine, we're going to be watching that very closely. So I'll have your hour-by-hour forecast coming up for you in just a few minutes. Back to you guys.
Olga, thank you. Today's rain fell as thousands of people still work to clean up from the last storms.
That's right. KCAL's Jeff Nguyen is live this afternoon in Woodland Hills with the latest at this hour there. Jeff?
Susie and Juan, right behind us is a downed tree. That's the base right there, which has snapped away from its roots. And the tree has been chopped up and moved away from the flow of traffic. Right now, crews can't haul it away just yet because this is the scene that's repeated over and over again all across the city. Across the San Fernando Valley, rain fell sporadically, adding to the record total of 10 inches in Woodland Hills. The slick conditions contributed to crashes on the freeways.
This is baking soda and vinegar to try and get the smell out, and Febreze.
Danielle Tardino had to pick up cleaning supplies after a rough weekend.
As we decided to start the fireplace and didn't realize that the flue was not totally open. So, yeah, we're smoky now and cold.
On Thursday, we found Jim Baker on his roof, laying down tarps on the home he's owned since 1985. Today, we wanted to check on him.
It ended up peeling the tarp back, and I came home and checked the attic, and it was like Yosemite Falls in my attic. And my kitchen floor was flooded.
This tree came down outside a library in Burbank, while this park employee had to clean up pine needles that fell after days of heavy rain. Several parts of Warner Park and Woodland Hills were littered with snapped branches. Despite the scattered rains, Marie Ohanessian wanted to stick to her running routine.
My mom's like, don't go out there. But I'm like, I'm just going to go. It's my thing. I don't want to go to the gym. I just like to be outdoors.
There's been very little comfort for Danielle Tardino, who now has to get the smell of smoke out of her home because of the failure in her fireplace, which she wanted to use because of the bitter cold temperatures.
Luckily, we were able to go to my in-laws for dinner, and then we came back and just kind of bundled up.
And from Wednesday until this morning, LA Public Works got reports on nearly 1,900 downed trees. So far, work has been completed on nearly 700. We're live in Woodland Hills. Jeff Nguyen, KCAL News.
Thank you. We continue to see trees coming down all over Southern California because of the heavy rains and winds. Over the weekend, 2 trees fell right next to each other in Sherman Oaks and have yet to be cleaned up. This is right along Ventura Boulevard at Stern Avenue. The trees are blocking a lane leading to a busy complex. And fortunately, no one was hurt, no cars or property damaged.
A terrifying ordeal for a La Cañada Flint Ridge neighborhood after heavy mud crashed into homes along Paulette Place yesterday. One homeowner shared video of some of the destruction to his home. His home and a neighboring home are now yellow tagged. That means only limited access is allowed. He tells us he fears the next round of rain may cause more problems.
I'm very worried. It's not just me, it's everybody's worried around here. If that hill keeps coming down, there are 2 giant pools up there.
Well, inspectors right now are looking at the structural integrity of a third home at the top of the hillside and the safety of the hillside itself.
All right, days after last week's storm, and people are still in the dark and the cold. 27,000 DWP customers still don't have power.
KCAL's Lauren Posen is live this afternoon in Van Nuys, where she spoke to a struggling family and pressed the LA DWP for some answers. Lauren?
Oh, Susie and Juan, let me tell you, it's just a mess here for the people in this neighborhood. The street behind us is Hanlon Street, and the 3 houses at the beginning of that street haven't had power since Friday. Then here where we are on Gilmore Street, the same story. These 3 houses here also haven't had power since Friday. So that means no heat. That means any food that they had in the refrigerator, well, it's most likely spoiled. And while crews are working diligently to put the power back on, the people in this neighborhood have absolutely no time frame when their lights will go back on.
It's really cold. It's freezing. Our animals are barely making it. They're just shivering.
Not having power for days is a first for Larry Mendez in the 20-plus years he's lived in this Lake Balboa neighborhood. During Friday night's storm, he says a transformer blew out.
The wind was going like crazy, and all of a sudden the light, everything went out. So I came out and went to my neighbors, and they were out too.
He called the Department of Water and Power and got a window of 4 to 12 hours for restoration. That has since come and gone.
We're a big city. I mean, my God, we're not a small town, in some little area. We should be prepared for this kind of stuff, We
went to the Department of Water and Power for answers. Brian Wilbur says it's a combination of how widespread the outages are and those high winds.
That adds that extra piece to it. And so when trees are coming down, right, because of the rain on top of the wind, that becomes a very different hazard than what we normally deal with.
Wilbur says DWP is prioritizing calls and getting to everyone as quickly as they can.
We have crews coming in at midnight. We have crews coming in early in the morning. So we've more than quadrupled the amount of people that we have.
One neighborhood did finally see some signs of hope Monday morning when DWP crews pulled up. Arch Street in Studio City was also in the dark since Friday after a tree knocked down power to most of the homes, apartments, and businesses on Ventura Boulevard.
This has been going on for the better part of, 80 hours it feels like, and not taking a shower, not having an electricity. The apartment is cold as can be.
Mendez can relate. He says it's at the point now where he and his neighbors almost feel forgotten.
Do you have us on the map? Do you know when can we possibly have someone out here? We don't know. So here we are just trying to figure out how we're going to make it to the day.
Make it through the day. They're going hour by hour. Now, if you are one of the people also that don't have power at your house, keep reporting it to DWP. They told me today that because some of the more higher priority jobs have been completed, they can work on what they consider the smaller work jobs. And they are making progress. The numbers way down from this weekend, now down to 27,000 customers without power from that high of 144,000 customers over the weekend. Reporting live in Van Nuys, Lauren Posen, KCAL News.
Lauren, thank you. Dangerous road conditions on the way to Wrightwood. This is where Highway 138 meets Highway 2. Visibility is very low, lots of fog and blizzard-like conditions out there. Angeles Crest Highway remains closed on both sides of Wrightwood. That's bad news if you want to hit the slopes. Mountain High Ski Resort remains closed despite getting 7 feet of snow in the past few days.
And if you're thinking of driving up to see the Winter Wonderland in Big Bear, don't. You won't make it because all roads to Big Bear Valley right now, including Highway 330, 18, and 38, are all closed. The CHP and Caltrans are working right now to clear the roadways, but there is no estimate tonight for when they will reopen, especially with more snow in the forecast this week. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office pleading with people right now to respect the roadblocks and to stay off the mountain so crews can go ahead and continue to plow roads. The priority now is to get one lane open on all primary roads for first responders.
KCAL News reporter Jake Reiner is in San Bernardino with the latest. Jake.
Juan and Susie, we're along Highway 18, which is the main roadway up to Crestline. I'll step out of the way so you can take a look at this roadblock. These people, some of them have been waiting here for hours to get back to their homes. One guy told me he's been waiting here since 8:30 this morning, so it is a mess out here, to say the least. Take a look. Caltrans tells us they have been working around the clock to create single pathways along major roadways for first responders and medical personnel. Now, this is video of the CHP and sheriff's deputies forming convoys last night to get 7 tractor trailers of food up the mountain, and we've spoken to several people up there who are stuck, and they say supplies are running low, like food and gas, and it's partly why they're asking all non-residents and residents not currently on the mountain to avoid the area. But these folks that are waiting here at the roadblock aren't the least bit happy about it.
And tell me what is she going through right now?
She has a very bad sciatic. She is virtually, can't move. So
there's a lot of urgency for you to get up there.
Yes.
And tell me just how you're feeling about all of this right now.
I'm livid. It's very simple. There's cars been coming down all day long, 2-wheel drive. We all have 4-wheel drive with chains, and they won't escort us up. Run some down, run some up. I've seen people out here with prescriptions that need to get up the hill that can't go, so.
It's a mess.
It's a big mess.
So Southern California Edison is working to restore power. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, they're working to create a warming center for folks that need it. And currently Caltrans and CHP are conducting escorts in order to get those students that were up there on the mountain off the hill. And you can see behind me crews coming by, and those are the only vehicles that are being let up right now. Reporting live in San Bernardino, I'm Jake Reiner, KCAL News.
All right, Jake, thank you so much. Coming up, picking up the pieces.
Residents in the Midwest are reeling after a series of tornadoes rocked the region. The twister trail of destruction next.
Plus, cyclone concerns in surprising new places, the regions that could become hurricane hotspots in the coming decades.
Controversial handmade cards delivered to students, and now their parents are suing a school district. I'm Tina Ezzedine with a closer look next.
An overnight smash and grab burglary at a high-end Orange County mall. Newport Beach police tell us 2 cars crashed into a Neiman Marcus store at Fashion Island. They took off with $100,000 worth of merchandise. Police spotted the burglars get into a 3rd car and chased them all the way to South Los Angeles. Police say the pursuit merchandise was tossed from the getaway car. A man and a woman were arrested. 2 others got away.
More shocking allegations this afternoon of racism in the Upland Unified School District.
Several families are now suing the district after many black and mixed-race students say they were targeted by school bullies and the school did nothing about it. KCAL's Tina Ezzedine has details.
4 handmade cards from classmates at Pepper Tree Elementary in Upland, prompting 4 families to now sue.
Our son was targeted in this way. So what we want there to be transparency.
The pain present on the faces of black and biracial 11 and 12-year-olds who say fellow 6th graders taunted them with racist cards. One reads, "You're my favorite monkey." Another, "To my favorite cotton picker." And this drawing of a figure hanging from a tree.
And it said, "To my favorite cotton picker." And that made me feel like I didn't know that they actually thought of me that way.
The parents contend the Upland School District failed to act against an assistant principal and a teacher whose own children also attend the elementary, whose students believe are the authors of the cards and harassment in the halls.
It's just been going on for just a really long time. They've just been sweeping it under the rug.
The attorney declaring the district's focus is cover-up rather than correcting the issue.
the N-word, monkey, animals, creatures, slaves. That is what these children, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th graders, have been subjected to.
1 week ago, it was standing room only as the district held its regularly scheduled meeting. Parents disappointed in the district for taking too long, they say, to send this letter notifying other families about the incidents.
I found out 2 weeks ago from a teacher on campus, a tenured teacher, that no training of that sort has taken place.
The parents plan to sue the district for civil rights violations and are now asking the state attorney general to investigate, demanding answers, taking legal action to get them. In Mid-Wilshire, Tina Ezzedine, KCAL News.
All right, back to our Stormwatch coverage now. Roads to the mountains are buried in feet of snow.
Yeah, Simon editor Mike Rogers has been speaking with Caltrans this afternoon and is at the desk now with more. Mike, do we know when these roads will actually reopen, at least to residents?
Yeah, not quite, and that's very frustrating for people. You heard in Jake Reiner's piece there earlier just how frustrated they are about not being able to get up to the hill. I want to show you this camera behind me, though. This is some of the conditions they're dealing with, not only the snow on the road, but you can see just how foggy it still is up there. Let's jump you into our traffic maps here. Our next traffic maps, I'm going to show you exactly where these closures are. The 38 is closed, 330 is closed, 18 is closed, the 138 on the north end near the Cajon Junction there is closed, and then mountain travel in the mountains between Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear, also difficult over here at Big Bear, difficult as well. All of these mountain roads we're showing on our map here, just one lane in each direction. I'll take you live now outside to that camera I was talking about. This is the 138 near the 18 up in Crestline, and you can see they barely kind of have that right side of the road plowed, and that's the story with all these mountain roads. And remember, the 138, this is a major road up there, so for them only to have half of it plowed is still an issue. I want to take you to another piece of video that we got from the San Bernardino County Fire Department. Look at this is what they're using to rescue people who are having medical emergencies right now. Paramedics will ride in the back there with the patient, and they'll get them either to a hospital or to another point where they can rendezvous either with an ambulance or a helicopter if need be. But this is what we're talking about. This is the kind of dire situation going on right now up there. So as we come back out to the desk, they're working as fast as they can to clear up some of these roads. We heard from those residents, supplies are running low. They're frustrated with the amount of time it's taking, but officials say just give them that time they need. They want to make sure they're doing this in a safe way, Juan and Susie.
All right, Mike, thanks so much.
All of a sudden, it felt like a bomb hit outside or something. The whole house kind of shifted.
Powerful tornadoes ripped across Oklahoma overnight, tearing roofs off homes and flipping over trucks. At least 8 tornadoes touched down in the state, the highest ever recorded in the month of February. The outbreak has left tens of thousands without power.
As the planet warms, experts predict storms will get stronger and faster and push farther north. A new report shows this afternoon because of that, the mid-Atlantic and northern U.S. could get more hurricane damage. Now, as Florida and the Gulf Coast will continue to get the worst of the damage, researchers predict Charleston, South Carolina and Savannah, Georgia could also become new hurricane hotspots. And New York City could see the biggest uptick in property damage. The First Street Foundation conducted the research.
All right, the rain has been coming down on and off all day today, leaving SoCal residents wondering when we will get a break from the winter weather.
Yeah, Olga Spina has some answers for you in our next weather forecast. Hi, Olga.
Hi, Susie and Juan, and look at that. We see some raindrops on our lens. Can't even make out what is behind us. So it is gray out there, and yes, we are seeing plenty of rain as well as snow across the state. And we were talking about this last night. That rain was making its way south. It has arrived. If you've stepped outside, you know we are experiencing that wet weather. So here's a look. So LA and Ventura not looking too bad over the last few hours. That rain continues to push to the east as well as to the south. As we take a look at places like the Inland Empire, we're seeing some pockets of heavy rain where we see those yellows there on our map. As we take a look at Rancho Cucamonga, San Antonio Heights, look at that snow up in the mountains. And we're going to continue to see those snow levels drop as we head into tomorrow and into Wednesday. So I want to take you through the future tracker, show you exactly what you can expect throughout the day. Again, mostly IE and Orange County experiencing that wet weather at the moment. But as we head into later tonight, there's another wave of energy that's going to be moving in, impacting us by 10 o'clock in the evening. Look at that for parts of LA. Antelope Valley, some snow up in the San Bernardino County mountains. That continues to push east as we head into right around midnight. We're feeling it more through the IE and Orange County. not looking too bad for Tuesday morning, getting a little bit of a break from the rain for a lot of us, but then more rain starts to move in as we head into the afternoon hours, some light showers, and then by the commute time, look at this. Here we are at 5:30 in the evening, seeing some heavy rain out through LA and Ventura. And once again, that continues to push to the east as we head into later in the night on Tuesday. Pockets of heavy rain through Orange County by 8 p.m. continuing to intensify and becoming a little bit more widespread by late Tuesday, 10:30. Look at that. LA, IE, Orange County, all being impacted, and very heavy rain in the overnight hours. Look at this, 3:30 in the morning. As we head into a little bit more of that commute time, 7:15 a.m., we're seeing drier conditions through Ventura as well as LA. But heavy rain through the Inland Empire once again and into parts of Orange County as well as the Coachella Valley, continuing to push to the east as we head into later in the morning. And even later in the day, that's when we finally start drying out. So I will have your forecast, what to expect by Thursday. I do have drier conditions on the way. That complete forecast in your next weather forecast in just a few minutes. Back to you guys.
All right, looking forward to that, Olga. Thank you. Ahead here at 4, park rangers have a new tool to catch wildlife poachers red-handed. How it could protect the world's most endangered animals.
The building comes crumbling down as a frantic search for survivors continues in Turkey. The stunning aftershock next.
Mental Health Monday is sponsored by Dignity Health. Hello, human kindness.
Another aftershock in Turkey. This one caused several buildings to collapse. One person was killed. Over 110 others were injured. This comes 3 weeks after a massive quake killed more than 50,000 people in Turkey and Syria.
Park rangers now have a new tool to protect some of the world's most endangered animals. New technology from a Dutch startup could help rangers catch poachers red-handed. These smart cameras use artificial intelligence to quickly identify what's in the picture in real time in remote areas. Then they instantly send those messages to rangers' smartphones, allowing them to act quickly. With traditional cameras, of course, rangers would have to wait for months to see what's happening in the wild. And of course, by then, it's too late.
Rangers have to go to these cameras every 6 months to replace the batteries and then collect the memory cards. And then they can see what is on the photo.
Well, solar power runs these AI cameras. They're also designed to protect hungry elephants known to destroy plantations and livelihoods.
A dazzling display in the night sky above the UK. The northern lights illuminated the night in eastern England and as far south as Oxfordshire, about 57 miles west of London. If the skies stay clear there, people will be able to see the northern lights tonight as well.
What a treat. That's beautiful. Coming up here at 4:30, breaking down a stigma.
Seeking out a better life often comes with a list of sacrifices for immigrants. How one local clinic aims to help those suffering in silence.
Plus, zeroing in on an origin, new information this afternoon on how the COVID-19 pandemic may have started. The theory that's gaining some traction next.
Just days after a major storm soaked the Southland, we're not out of the woods just yet.
Yeah, more wet weather is on the way across our region to start this work week. Olga Espina is tracking the conditions in our next weather forecast. Olga.
Hi, you guys. Yes, we are seeing some rain and some snow. Take a look. We are looking at some conditions continuing to be with us at least through the middle of the week. So we have a winter storm warning that is in place across all of our mountains all the way through Wednesday night. And also gusty winds, especially for some of those high deserts, including the Antelope Valley, under a high wind warning as well. So we'll be feeling a lot of those impacts. Here's a look at our weather story. What we're expecting next: more rain, more mountain snow through at least Wednesday, and then snow dropping down to about 3,000 to 4,000 feet. So that means some of those mountain passes once again feeling the impacts. We could see delays or closures. That's going to be especially the case by Tuesday, Wednesday, when those levels start to drop even lower. Rainfall is going to be lighter than what we experienced. And then by Thursday, finally, I know a lot of us have been waiting for that, drier conditions, and yes, even a little bit of warming as well. So I'll let you know if this trend, the drier trend, continues into the weekend. That's all coming up in just a few minutes. Back to you guys.
All right, Olga, thank you. As we've been reporting, this storm has left tens of thousands of people without power, and still this afternoon, thousands are in the dark and the cold.
Yeah, but where are the big problems? Assignment editor Mike Rogers is at the desk now with an in-depth look at the issue. Mike?
Yeah, hi, Juan and Susie. A lot of people still struggling with this. And, you know, DWP says one of the big issues here, these aren't normal power outages where equipment fails. This is stuff where trees get caught in their lines or in their transformers and equipment. And that's what's taking so long. So I want to first tell you right now, we're working with the city to figure out how this works in tandem. The city crews have to go clean the trees before DWP can fix the infrastructure. So we're working to get kind of that sorted out. But I want to tell you the hotspots. We come to my computer here. I'll show you exactly what we're talking about. Every orange dot here is still a power outage within the city of Los Angeles. DWP saying nearly 150,000 customers lost power during this storm. Some of the places still with high numbers are Hollywood, about 2,000 customers without power. West LA still over 1,000. Mid-City 1,300. Los Feliz about 800 customers. So as we come back out to the desk, DWP says, you know, 24 to 48 hours from the time the power went out. Some folks are now getting into that longer than that mark. DWP saying there's still about 1,200 customers without power from when it went out on Friday. Those newer outages from over the weekends. So they're working on all of that. We're going to continue to work with DWP and the city to get some answers on exactly how long this is going to take and what the process is for them to restore power, guys.
All right, Mike, thanks so much. Financial stress, loneliness, racism, and violence. These are just some of the issues undocumented immigrants face as they learn to maneuver life in the United States. But one local clinic is focused on providing culturally sensitive care. In today's edition of Mental Health Monday, we go inside Clínica Romero and found even the doctors are haunted by personal trauma. For many immigrants, seeking out a better life comes with a long list of sacrifices, leaving all they've ever known behind, including family, all to flee poverty, violence, and in some cases, persecution. Emeterio Armando Carranza Sosa left El Salvador in January of 1981, while the country was in the middle of a brutal civil war in which more than 75,000 citizens were killed, many by death squads.
Los niveles de represión eran bien fuertísimos.
The repression was intense and terrible, he says. The dead were in the streets day and night, 24 hours a day. What Sosa saw and experienced was traumatic, and when he arrived in Los Angeles, the nightmares continued. Starting a new life had its challenges. Sosa didn't speak English and says the language barrier created isolation. Sosa suffered from terrible anxiety and couldn't sleep.
Y obviamente, pues, bastante deprimido, ¿no?
I also had to deal with depression, he says. We left hell because of the war, but we left family behind. 6 months after he arrived, he got a job in a shoe factory. With little experience, he said his hand was caught in a machine press and he lost several fingers. After suffering in silence for too long, Sosa went for help, and he found it at Clínica Romero in downtown Los Angeles.
No fue hasta que empecé a venir a la clínica que me enteré.
It wasn't until I came to the clinic, he says, that I learned help was available. In El Salvador, I never heard of the need for mental health or therapy. Carlos Vaquerano is the CEO of Clínica Romero.
You know, the whole issue of violence because of the gang members or the cartel in Mexico. But Central America, you know, we had wars in the early 80s, so many of us went through that trauma. And we carried it, you know, that for many years.
Vaquerano immigrated 43 years ago and shares his client's trauma. He lost 3 brothers, at least 2 killed by Army death squads. He lost his father when he was 4. And even though it's been decades, we soon saw that the wounds of loss are still very fresh.
I had already lost my father when I was 4. A lot of our community only do it when they're really in a bad shape. And that shouldn't happen.
Part of the hesitance of seeking help is the stigma that comes with admitting there is an issue. It's something mental health professionals are trying to change, but the COVID pandemic only made things more challenging.
Job insecurity. They have financial insecurity. They have transportation insecurity, food insecurity, caregiving insecurity. So what happens is this begins to geometrically multiply on their mental well-being of being able to survive all these challenges that are coming to their mind? How am I going to get through the infectious diagnosis? How am I going to avoid that infection?
Garcia says a lot of work still needs to be done to reach the community about the benefits of mental health care.
I mean, it's very challenging, understanding that we have not had enough education, and how do we advise our patients with regards to their mental brain health.
For Sosa, though, he says it took 3 years, but things finally started to get better once he went to therapy.
Desconocida para nosotros, pues,
In life, we all have problems, he says. That's normal, and the stigma of seeking mental health has been minimized. It's definitely helped me.
And we need to begin to promote that we not only need a medical home for your physical health, but we need a mental health home.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, get help from the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting 988.
And it's so good to see that places like Clínica Romero are actually available to people.
And that they're seeking out the help too, which is very important.
So important. What a great story, Juan. Thank you. Oh, coming up next, caught and cuffed.
A multi-agency crackdown on gangs and narcotics comes to a close. Why investigators are deeming the sting a success.
Also, it's a special day for Pokemon trainers looking to catch them all. How the original Pocket Monsters are coming back to play. A years-long multi-agency gang investigation comes to an end. Today, officials broke down the results of their gang and narcotics investigation, which began back in 2020 and ended this month. Now, after several wiretaps and 41 search and arrest warrants in Wilmington, San Pedro, and in Long Beach, investigators arrested and charged 18 people. They also seized 82 firearms and large amounts of meth, cocaine, and fentanyl.
There have been different speculations as to where COVID came from. Now the U.S. government suggests it came from China. According to new intelligence from the Department of Energy, an accidental leak in a Chinese lab most likely caused the coronavirus pandemic. Dr. Anthony Fauci has said that he's open to that possibility, but he thinks a natural origin of the virus is more likely. Others have speculated COVID spread from animals to humans, perhaps from bats. American spy agencies are still divided over the origin of the virus.
Well, calling all Pokemon trainers, it's Pokemon Day, and the company is celebrating with a slew of announcements. February 27th is the anniversary of when Pokemon first came out in the 90s. The company is marking the day by announcing the re-release of the original cards. It's also unveiling trailers for a new Netflix show and a game called Pokemon Sleep. That game will track how users snooze and let them catch Pokemon with similar sleep styles.
Nice, all right. Still to come here, less can be more. Will a 4-day work week become a reality in California? Why lawmakers are pushing companies to give it a try.
I'm Jim Hill. Coming up in sports, LeBron James with more foot problems, and he will be out of action for the Lakers. We'll have the details on that, plus a tough injury for the Dodgers today in spring training. That and more when I come back later in sports.
Whoa! Ever wonder what a gender reveal party looks like when the father is a fireman? Well, wonder no more. Here it is.
Firefighter Daniel Kay and his wife Catalina got creative, as you saw, when they held the hose tight for the big reveal on Facebook. As you can tell from the blue color of the water, it's a boy. Afterwards, the happy couple thanked the fire brigade in Chattanooga, Tennessee for helping them with this unforgettable moment.
The party guests were on the other end of that stream, right? They all got doused
with
in
blue
water. No, I'm just
Love
kidding.
that. That's so much fun.
Thanks for watching KCAL News at 4. Our next newscast just moments away on KCAL News at 5 on CBS.
And don't forget, we're always on KCALnews.com and streaming on CBS Los Angeles. We'll hope to see you again tonight on KCAL News at 8, 9, and 10. But until then, hope you have a terrific afternoon. We'll see you later.
Juan Fernandez, weeknights, KCAL News.